What's up, Lego Builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another episode of A Man and His Bricks, the podcast that is just barely hanging in there. I think I might start using that as like the little catchphrase or slogan for this podcast because I keep wanting to do it more often. It just never seems to happen. Anyways, there's a lot to talk about in this episode. I have my first convention coming up, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about my preparation process, what I'm going to be displaying, kind of like my thoughts and mindsets, because honestly, I'm not entirely excited for it, but we'll get into that later. And the dust has settled with kind of the whole YouTube thing. I've been doing YouTube full time for over 2 months now, and I want to talk about like how is it now. Obviously, it was fun in the beginning, but what's changed? Do I want to keep doing this moving forward? Do I even like it anymore? And what are some of the pros and cons, as well as talking about some YouTube related things that have been on my mind, like chasing views, clickbait. Is that stuff okay? Does it have a place in the YouTube community? And kind of what do I think about that? All that being said, I do have a lot to talk about with you guys. Oh, as well as Creator Spotlight and some questions. So it should be a good episode. So sit back and relax and let's get on with it. So life has been interesting this past month, 2 months since my last podcast. I really want to get better at doing these so I can kind of remember like where we left off, what's happened since the last one, so I don't share things that I did in the past one and I don't miss things, miss out on things. But I actually just got back from a vacation with my wife. We went to Cape Cod with my family. It was awesome. I had a blast. It was nice to take a break away from YouTube because I was pretty burned out. I've been going pretty much nonstop since going full time in June, just cranking out video after video, trying to improve, increasing my uploading on Instagram. It's getting to the point where I have some kind of upload on YouTube 6 days a week. So there's only one day, actually no, up every single day, 7 days a week now. Sometimes it's only a post, video, stream, short, but there's always something just to, increase the amount of touches I get and kind of so people see me more often as I stay interactive and in the community and kind of, there's just always a way for, me to pop into people's brain or people to see my content, if that makes sense. But right on the heels of my vacation is my first Lego convention. I was kind of annoyed by that. I wish I could have gotten it done before the vacation. That way I didn't have it hanging over my head after, because I've never been to a convention before. I don't really know what to expect. I'm going by myself as well, which means I'm going to have to hold down the booth by myself. I don't know if I'm going to be able to leave or how. I just don't know anything. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be transporting MOCs a long distance, the furthest I've ever transported a MOC. And so I need to figure out how to do that. I bought a little hand cart today on Amazon that I'm going to be using to transport my MOCs. I'm going to be taking Jabim with me. And I'm going to be taking my Rhino Company ATTE and then a little smaller Order 66 MOC I made a little while back. I was going to include the Acclimator. Originally, that was the plan for like my main showcase piece instead of Jabim. But when I pulled out the Acclimator to kind of work on it and, fix it up and get it ready for the convention, I remembered how fragile it is. I can pick it up and move it around because I know there are a couple of stable spots, but like a lot of the panels and stuff are pretty delicate. And I didn't want to have to disassemble it and then reassemble it at the convention. And I was worried about transporting it. I was just worried about it breaking, to be honest. This is like one of my favorite pieces in my collection, especially because I built and designed it myself. And so to have it break and not be able to fix it or bring it back to what it was would just be devastating. It wouldn't be worth what I could do showing it at the convention, because I'm sure it would be really cool and a lot of people would like to see it, but I'm just too afraid. So maybe, down the road, if I get better at displaying things and transporting things, I'll bring it somewhere. But I decided ultimately to leave that one behind and bring Jabim with me. The nice thing about Jabim is it's much more sturdy and it's just this flat base, so I can just stick it on, a table and move it around. And I've already done the finale cinematic. All the content I need for it's done. So if it does break, no big deal. I'm going to be breaking it next week anyways. So I just, all of that has made me a little bit nervous, but I think it'll be a good experience. And I think probably once I get there and experience it, I'll enjoy it more. But right now I'm a little bit apprehensive for it. This is also my first time making a video in over a week. So I'm a little rusty. I'm just kind of like, I'll finish the section and just kind of sit here and be like, okay, how do I segue into the next thing? Because I batched all my content last week, so I could just take a week off and just get completely away from YouTube. But yeah, so this video may be a little bit rusty. It was a good break though. I was pretty, sick of YouTube and making videos, so it was nice to step away from it. And I came back re-energized and refocused. And I think it's very important as a creator to take that time away to rest, because and to re-energize yourself. Because I went out and I didn't just sit on my phone. I didn't just watch TV or lay around. I went to the beach, did stuff with my family. I exercised. I read. I did a little bit of planning here and there for some YouTube videos. It's just a really good experience. I definitely want to make sure I do that more. And having had this amount of time with YouTube, I realized like, okay, I want to like add more breaks in there to kind of give myself some time to re-energize, because I think my content will be better for it than if I just constantly push myself, because I'll be more excited about it, I'll have better ideas, and I'll just have more energy for it. Which kind of brings me into my next segue of like, how has YouTube been for me? Now that because last episode I think I had been doing YouTube full time for like maybe a month or so, and I was still just in the thick of things. I had this huge growth spike that I was just riding. I was just riding this massive wave, and I definitely came down off of that, which which I think is kind of, I've now hit a more realistic and kind of like a more normal state of what being a full-time YouTuber is like, is because I had a couple of videos do really well. And as a result, all my other videos did well. So I was just pulling in a large amount of views, subscribers, watch time, everything, revenue. And I'm kind of back down to where my normal viewership is. Because, I personally am not able to put out viral video after viral video. I know it's possible and I want to get there, but I'm not there yet. So I'm kind of, working towards that next growth spike. And I'm seeing a lot of like just the core audience views, the regular viewers coming in, which is good, but it's also a little bit stressful because, this is my job now and this is how I make money. So it's hard to see all those numbers just plummet. But that's one of the pros and cons of doing YouTube full time, is like learning how to ride waves. Because when I go to a job, 9-to-5 job, someone's paying me, there's no wave. It's just a steady, just forward motion like this, because, typically there's no huge spike in income or decrease. There are little ones here and there, but nothing like there is on YouTube. And so it's a different mindset of like, okay, don't freak out and don't stress just because things aren't super great right now. You're pulling in consistent views, which is good. You just have to remember, like, part of YouTube is like spiking again and growing. So that's what it's all about. It's not about worrying like, oh, I'm not doing so great right now, but how can I get that next spike, because it's out there. That's the cool thing about YouTube. And one of the things that I really love is every video I make has the potential to just go viral, to be a banger. Maybe not every video, but most of the videos. Because, there's videos like this where I just know, like, A Man and His Bricks episode 10 is not going viral. It's not going to hit 100,000 views or something. That's okay. I don't need that to be every video. But, like, I have the ability to wake up every day and create a video that will kind of catapult me to the next level. So that's kind of that new balance that I'm trying to strike with myself, of like trusting the process and knowing like, hey, this isn't what your current state is with analytics, isn't indicative of what's going to be happening, in a few weeks from now or a month from now. It could be completely different. So it's learning to be very just present in the moment and just focus on the task ahead, which has been really cool, because I typically and traditionally am someone who needs to have control, who needs to be in charge, who needs to just have everything planned out. It's definitely been, a weakness of mine, and this has been a great opportunity to work on that and just be like, just to let go of like, hey, you can't always be you just can't always be on top. You can't always be like putting out the best videos, or you can't always be putting out videos that are just going to go viral, if that makes sense. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I'm getting out of the mindset of like, oh, every video has to just get hundreds and thousands of views. Like it's okay to see these little dips as long as you're trending upward. Man, I had some cool stuff to talk about, but like trying to get through that thought that was rough. I hope I don't butcher the rest of this podcast, man. I hope I get, my head clears up and I get better as the week goes by. But ultimately, like at the end of the day, I'm really happy to just be building. And that's what I'm trying to do more of. I'm trying to get more just building videos, because I realize that's what I'm good at. That's what my audience likes. And that's what I can really excel at. Like take, for example, the 3 mocks in one video. I have been planning that video for months and months. The first one where I did a mock at each different price point. And that video did really well and led to a new series on my channel, which is doing really well. But it's all based around mock building. Like for a while, I was like, okay, I'll have my mock building videos, and then I'll try and make a video that goes viral, or like just... I want to figure out a way to grow without doing mock videos, because I felt like there was a cap. There was like a view cap with a mock showcase video. And then doing that video made me realize like I can push the bounds of like how many views I can get with mock videos. I just need to mix up how I'm doing those mocks. Like I'm trying to do more challenge videos. I'm trying to like build tension, build some kind of challenge, some kind of expectation to make people want to click, because obviously people want to see the showcases, but I think what's going to intrigue more people is some kind of question, some kind of like, can he do it challenge, basically. And that's kind of where that series has evolved into, of like my 3 mocks in one video with the saddest clone deaths, most epic and unnamed clones, and I have some more of those coming out in the future. So that was kind of a cool revelation. It made me really excited to realize like, hey, I don't need to abandon mock building, or I don't need to put it to the side in order to grow. I can use that to grow. I just need to figure out like what's trending, what's popular, what kinds of videos are doing well, and how do I translate and transform that into what I'm good at, which is building mocks. So that has been a real fun challenge, and I'm really excited to see where that goes. And the nice thing about that is I've got so many parts that I can start to make those kinds of videos for a lot cheaper. I don't have to spend as much money, which is really nice, because, you know, trying to make the profit margin go up while the costs, you know, go down or don't go higher, basically. But there have been some cons, and I think I've talked about them a little bit, with like the stress of like constantly worrying that my channel's tanking, or that, you know, I'm gonna lose everything, or not be able to do it anymore. There is also kind of like, now that I'm my own boss, like, in order to take a week off, you have to work extra hard 2 weeks before, you know what I mean? Like, I can't just put PTO, I can't just request some PTO and take some time away. Technically, you know, I could just not upload for a week, but I'm growing, and I want to ride that as long as possible. And I know long breaks are going to hurt my channel. And so I'm just doing my best to try and avoid that. So that is one of the downsides of like, if you want to take a break, that means you just have to work hard. You know, you have to work extra hard before to give yourself some time, which, you know, is not too bad at the end of the day. That's kind of, I would rather it be that way, I guess, but it's unfortunate sometimes. Okay, I think there is one more thing that I wanted to bring up, and I've kind of hinted at it, danced around it in some of these earlier topics, but views, because, you know, the word views has come up a lot. Like, oh, we're going to make videos that do well, lots of views, growth. And I've been thinking about like a lot about like, is view chasing a bad thing? View chasing is making videos for the views, trying to get more views, obsessing over that. And I think, you know, in the beginning I was like, oh, view chasing, like when you hear it, you think bad, you think negative, because it sounds like you're clout chasing in a way, or you're not creating this for the joy of creating it, or you're not putting your passions first, or you're not putting your viewer first. You're just trying to get more views. But I think there's a balance to be had there. And I think view chasing in a way can be good and can motivate yourself, because I like building mocks. I like making videos. I like making a building series. But you know what else I like doing? I like growing a YouTube channel. So in a way, chasing views is like building a better mock. Like, I think it comes down to the way you do it. Like, chasing views isn't necessarily inherently wrong, as long as there is a deeper goal and a deeper reason for chasing those views, other than just to make money or just to have, you know, the most views. Because I'm chasing those views to make my channel better, to be a bigger channel, to make more money, to fund these mocks. And so I think, you know, I think it's okay to go down that route and manifest more views, and just find more ways to better yourself and improve your videos so that you can get more views. Because especially if you're passionate about it, like, who's to say that one person's passion is better or worse than the others? Like, if someone's like, I enjoy getting more views, I like seeing my videos improve, that can be a good thing. But, you know, if you're like, oh, I just got to get more views, I got to make more money, how can I just cut corners? What can I do to get more views? And if that's your mindset, and you start compromising like your original vision or your original goals, I think that's when view chasing can become bad. Or if, you know, I was to start doing clickbait more, or if I was to start like misleading the audience somehow, just, I guess, basically taking what was the center of my channel, which was building mocks and inspiring others, and wanting to create a place where people can come to be entertained and inspired, and then replacing that with, oh, I just need more views. I need to be getting more views. I think that's when it becomes wrong. So that in and of itself isn't bad. It just depends on like, what are your deeper motivation? What is your ultimate goal behind chasing views? I don't know, just something that's been on my mind. I hope that makes sense. Honestly, deciding to do a podcast of thinking and analyzing and like having a good outline right after coming back from vacation may not have been a good idea in hindsight, but honestly, I don't know that any video would have been that good coming back. So I guess it's a good thing that I'm, you know, shaking off the rust and kind of getting back into the swing of things with this episode. Anyways, let me know what you think about that down below in the comments. I still haven't completely formulated how I feel about that, so I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. Anyways, that wraps up Life of an AFOL, my first segment. Now we're going to be moving on to the Q&A series, and the theme for this series, or this episode, was the future of Lego Star Wars. So I'm going to go through, answer the questions, kind of talk about it, and then at the end of this Q&A series, I'll give you guys the theme for the next episode. And make sure to put your questions for that theme in the comments of this one, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, the first question comes from Brickmad Sam. He says, do you think the market for mock builders is large enough now that Lego should consider bringing out Star Wars specific, maybe just call it a more adult mock pack? Similar to the way they have classic brick boxes, things like dark bluish gray slopes and wedge plates, olive green tiles, dare I say dark tan slopes. Also, what parts would be in your dream mock box? This was interesting. Like I'd never really thought about like a Lego Star Wars mock builder oriented product or, set. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think there is a growing community for Lego Star Wars mock builders, but I don't think it's anywhere near big enough for Lego to consider making an entire product specifically for them. Like I think just general mock building is much larger, and that's why they do those mocks, those kind of like classic brick packages. It would have to be just insanely large, I think, for Lego to do that. And just it may be too niche. I think it would probably be too niche, and like I don't really know what they would put in it specifically to like cater towards like specific Star Wars fans. Like maybe if they put Star Wars minifigures in there, because they kind of have the pick a brick wall where you can go and pick your stuff. But what I would like to see is more diversity and variety in those classic brick boxes or accessory brick sets, whatever they're called, because they're not that great. Like you get some pink bricks, they're just so generic and so basic. So I like your idea of like plants, dark bluish gray bricks and tiles. I think what would be cool is if they got together and made like an AFOL parts collection. So like you got those kinds of parts, but you could use it for any kind of mock, whether it be Ninjago City. I think that would be more likely to happen just because, there's dare I say, there are probably more Lego City builders out there than Lego Star Wars mock builders. And so I think if you were just able to package all of those together into one thing of like a little bit more complicated mock building package, and that way you wouldn't get the ridiculous price markups of the Lego Star Wars licensing, because if you were to do it specifically with Lego Star Wars, I'm sure they would charge more than if it was just generic bricks. What would be in my dream box? Definitely, probably because I've got Coruscant on the brain, just light bluish gray and dark bluish gray stuff, whether it be tiles, slopes, plates, all of that I would love to have in large quantities. And I think that's a color that pretty much everybody uses in large colors, just because it's such a base essential color. And I think that's something Lego should look into, is like, let's stop doing pinks and greens. Let's start doing like tons of like dark bluish gray and light bluish gray collections. The next question is from Concordial Eclipse. He says, question, the future of Lego Star Wars. I personally am confident that Star Wars and Lego as a whole is true to form dying out as the fantasy, Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica generation is growing older and filling into life, and this next generation is still attached, but I believe it will soon also move on. Ultimately, I think that it will still be huge as Lego will still apply the big money gain of the Lego mock and collectors community. My thought summarized is that the generations will pass the love for Star Wars will fade just like any other franchise out there. However, it will last due to the money gain that Lego gets from the community. Ultimately, what are your thoughts on this? Sorry for the mouthful. Star Wars was so strong for so long because of who was at the helm, who was at the head, George Lucas, the creator. And I think that's why it was able to thrive and grow and remain even with so many years of no Star Wars movies. Because, from the original trilogy to the prequels, there was a long break there and it still thrived and did well. What worries me is the future of Star Wars, kind of like you were saying, of future generations not growing up in the era of the original trilogy and the prequels, and not having that culture, that hype instilled and that love for it instilled in them, and only seeing what Disney is doing and just not being as interested in it. Because I'll be honest, I'm not very interested in what Disney does, but my experience with the original trilogy and the prequels is what's keeping me happy and what's keeping me alive, what's keeping my love for Star Wars and Lego alive. And so I don't know how they're going to find that. Obviously, they're going to be able to go back and watch the prequels, but there's just something about growing up in that era that's special, and just seeing what's happening moving forward of like, all those cool new projects and cool movies that were coming out. But if that doesn't happen in the future, like I know there's still good stuff like Andor and Obi-Wan was okay, but like Rogue One, but those are just singular experiences. Like it's not a consistent thing that Disney is doing. Like the majority of their stuff is mediocre. And so I could see younger generations kind of not instilling that same love for Star Wars. But at the same time, who knows? Just watching the prequels, the Clone Wars, the original trilogy may be enough for them. I honestly don't know. I think it's just something we'll have to just wait and see what happens. And I think as long as Disney keeps that in mind and continues to keep the prequel era and the original trilogy around and involved in Star Wars, I think that'll be okay. And as a result, I think Lego will do well with the Lego Star Wars line if they don't keep raising the prices. If they keep raising the prices, I think they're really going to hurt themselves with Star Wars. I have seen a lot of really big Star Wars fans, myself included, scale back and become more hesitant to buying Lego Star Wars sets because it's so much more money now, and the products we're getting, honestly, in my opinion, a lot of the times aren't worth it. So I personally think Star Wars is kind of like the Republic in a way. They are in their prime, they're at their peak, but they're also teetering. They're weak. They're at a position where they could just fall and crash and burn. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over these next couple of years, where they pivot and kind of what they do with the line, and if they lean back into the prequels and Clone Wars again, or if they start making more sequel sets, because I think that'll definitely hurt them. Next question comes from Jit. This is not Star Wars related. He says, will you ever do a decaling tutorial? Also, which do you prefer when it comes to decals and customer service, Thicky Bricky or Gen X toys? Definitely Thicky Bricky in all the categories. Will I ever do a decaling tutorial? Probably not. There are just tons of others out there, but stay tuned. I have kind of an answer and a solution for those wanting a decal tutorial at the end of the video. Someone said, Lego Brick BE said, will you do your Lego Medieval channel again? Yeah, of course. My goal with that when I started was just to keep it as a passion project channel. I knew I wasn't going to upload it on consistently. It just, when I had that itch to do a medieval mock, because I have them, I'm a huge medieval fan, I wanted a place where I could put them. And so I don't really want to force content on that one or push content, because that's not the point of that channel. Not that this one is either, but like, you get what I mean. I have a little bit more of a schedule and like vision and goal with what I want to do with this, and it's now my job. Whereas Coconut's Kingdom is still purely just for my own enjoyment and your guys's. I do have a video and a mock project coming up with that series, with that channel, so I will be doing something with it. That's the end for questions. We didn't get a whole lot, unfortunately. Hopefully we will get some more questions in the next update, but I do thank you guys who did leave a question. I appreciate it. It helps this video a lot, and I appreciate that you take the time to think up of a comment, to think of a question and type it out for me. So the theme for next episode is cool. It's exciting. I'm excited. It doesn't have anything to do with Lego or Lego Star Wars even, but it does involve them. And the topic is clickbait. Does it have a place in YouTube, and the pros and cons? One thing that I really liked about this topic is it can apply to so many people watching. Like, even the people who aren't making videos, you're still watching it, you're still being affected, you're still seeing clickbait. And then, there are people making videos. So we get all different kinds of opinions and questions and mentalities with this. So leave your questions for that down below in the comment section of this video, and I will get to that in the next update, in the next episode. But that brings me to my final segment for this podcast, and that is the Creator Spotlight, where I pick a smaller up-and-coming YouTuber who I think has been doing good work, or who I think you guys would benefit or would like watching their content. The creator I picked this episode is Thick Brick, also known as Thicky Bricky, also known as Thick's Fig Shop. He is a he is a decal seller with his website. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard him. If you haven't, I would highly recommend checking him out if you're interested in decals. In my opinion, he's one of the best stores out there as far as quality, pricing, inventory, and customer service. He does also have a YouTube channel. It's fairly small, but has some really good videos on there that I think would help a lot of people out there who are just interested in decaling, who just want to see what's about, or who are trying to learn how to do it themselves. He's got tutorials, he's got comparisons, he has, reviews of the decals that are on his website, what they look like on the minifigure, accessories, like anything to do with decaling, he's probably got it on there. So that's kind of why I said I have a solution for people asking for a decal tutorial video. Check out Thick Brick. He's got it all. Great quality. He's a good guy too. I don't know him super well, but my interactions with him have always been good. He does also have a really awesome Lego Star Wars minifigure collection. He's got a lot of minifigures, a lot of rare ones too, and sometimes he does videos with those as well. So even if you're not into decaling, but you like the Lego Star Wars minifigure side of things, I would recommend it. There's still something out there. There's still something there for you as well. I'm going to put a link to his video or to his channel down below in the description if you want to check it out. And that'll do it for this episode. I'm glad it's over. I feel like I can't string two words together. I think I just need to get better at outlining and writing things down. Sometimes I'm kind of lazy with that, especially today. I didn't really want to film this. So hopefully the next update will be better. And if you guys have any suggestions for who you would like to see or who you think deserves to be in the creator spotlight, put it down below in the comments. Don't do yourself, obviously, because I'm not going to pick you. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time. But until then, happy building.